And I'm telling you now, like, red flag, red flag, red. Portia even said, I'm gonna go after Ellen. I know you're not. I'm like, but you won't be the poster child, girl, because guess what? That poster child has already been taken. And by the way, it wasn't a great spot.
New details are emerging about Anne Heche's morning before that fiery car crash left her in critical condition with severe burns.
Spoken to Anne Heche at all since her accident?
Guess not.
Do you want to...
We're not in touch with each other, so I wouldn't know.
OMG Guys, the mysterious deaths of Anne Heche and DJ tWitch are stirring up serious questions, and at the center of it all, none other than Ellen DeGeneres.Anne Heche's fatal car crash wasn't just a tragic accident. It's now being looked at in a whole new light after the actress's cryptic warnings and disturbing claims about her time in Hollywood and her connection to Ellen. Just when people started brushing it off, the shocking passing of DJ tWitch, Ellen's longtime DJ and close associate, blew the lid off everything. What really happened behind the scenes? Why did two people, both with ties to the same powerful figure, meet such chilling ends? Whispers of control, manipulation, and silencing tactics are starting to surface. And what's even more unsettling, and get this, the alleged eerie final conversations and actions leading up to their deaths will have you losing your mind. So is there something far darker lurking beneath the glossy surface of daytime TV? You'd better grab your seats for this, because this story is unraveling fast, and what I just uncovered might just change everything you thought you knew about Ellen. Now, things are getting darker by the day, and the internet can't stop talking. You see, the tragic deaths of actress Anne Heche and DJ tWitch have thrown a glaring spotlight on their eerie ties to none other than Ellen DeGeneres. What started as quiet whispers is now exploding into full-blown speculation, and the deeper you dig, the more disturbing it gets. As new layers of Anne Heche's story come to light, the picture being painted is anything but simple. Once a celebrated actress with a rising career, Heche's final days were marked by emotional turmoil, intense personal battles, and chilling revelations. And right in the center of it all, her past with Ellen. In a resurfaced interview that's now going viral, Heche opened up about her deeply strained relationship with the talk show host. She revealed a moment that changed everything. Anne told Ellen that she needed to have friends in her life. But get this. Ellen said she did not want to have a girlfriend who needed that. That single quote, raw and unsettling, pulls back the curtain on what Anne later described as a toxic and controlling relationship. It's enough to make you wonder there was more going on behind closed doors than anyone ever realized.
When did you know you needed to break things off with Ellen?
I think it was a slow roll when you come to understand the truth of another. I wanted desperately to have that relationship be the love of my life. That was my Cinderella story. What happened was that I was, through the circumstances, shut out from things that I cared about, and in order to make her feel that she was being loved, I would erase those things from my path, such as acting, and replace them with things that I thought would give her a foundation. As we got further and further away from me being able to be in public the way that would please, I began getting further and further away from my friends and my friendships. And one of the things that concerned me very much was that I was beginning to feel shut off and shut down and shut away. And if this answers the question, when I told Ellen that I needed to have friends, she said she did not want to have a girlfriend that needed that. And that is the day I left.
Now here's where things just get really weird. On August 5th, 2022, a day that would go down as one of the most haunting and bizarre chapters in Anne Heche's life and possibly in Hollywood history. On that afternoon, the actress was involved in a fiery, high-speed car crash in the Mar Vista neighborhood of Los Angeles. Driving her blue Mini Cooper, Anne plowed into a house without warning, setting the entire place on fire in a horrifying scene that looked straight out of a movie, but this time it was all too real.
Breaking news at 6, actress Anne Heche seriously injured after crashing her car. Skyfox overhead when she suddenly sits up on the gurney. surprising firefighters.
The initial wave of headlines was ruthless. Within hours, tabloids and major news outlets were pushing a narrative that Anne had been intoxicated, suggesting her erratic behavior behind the wheel was a result of substance abuse. It seemed like the case was closed before it had even begun, but then something strange happened. The official coroner's toxicology report dropped, and it completely upended everything. Anne Heche was sober. There were no alcohol or illicit drugs in her system at the time of the crash. That revelation alone sent shockwaves through the public. If she wasn't under the influence, what was going on? Why would a seemingly stable woman drive full speed into a home, setting off a catastrophic fire? And why, according to multiple eyewitnesses, did she appear so panicked, so desperate, as if she was running from something she couldn't shake? One neighbor recounted seeing Anne flailing inside the vehicle, struggling to free herself. Another described the eerie sound of her car revving just moments before impact, like she had no intention of stopping. When paramedics finally reached her, she was still alive but severely injured, barely conscious, her body badly burned. What's even more chilling is the timing. Anne had recently been working on projects that dealt with abuse, control, and trauma, both on screen and in her personal advocacy. She had also been increasingly outspoken about the emotional scars left from her time in Hollywood, and notably, her toxic and controlling relationship with Ellen DeGeneres. So, was this just an unexplainable tragedy, or was Anne Heche trying to send a message in her final moments? Was she fleeing something or someone who posed a threat? The evidence is murky, the reports conflicting, but one thing is certain: her death wasn't just an accident. It's a mystery that's only getting darker the more you look into it. And just when you think this story couldn't get any darker, it does. Months before her untimely death, Anne Heche reportedly had a deeply unsettling conversation with someone else closely tied to Ellen DeGeneres, DJ tWitch. According to sources close to the actress, Anne issued a cryptic, almost haunting warning to tWitch in the weeks leading up to her crash. She allegedly told him to watch his back. At the time, it may have seemed like a vague word of caution, strange maybe, but not earth-shattering. But now, that warning feels downright chilling, because not long after Anne's death, the unthinkable happened. DJ tWitch, the beloved dancer and longtime DJ on the Ellen DeGeneres show, was found dead by suicide. The news shocked fans around the world, but to those following the twisted thread between these two tragic losses, it set off alarm bells. Two people, both with significant ties to Ellen DeGeneres, two untimely deaths, one cryptic warning, and zero answers. Suddenly, what looked like isolated tragedies began to feel connected. People started asking, what kind of pressure were they under? What did they know? What were they trying to escape? You see, Anne Heche, never one to shy away from controversy, had made no secret of her disdain for Ellen in the years following their breakup. And the more you look at her words, the more disturbing the picture becomes. In one resurfaced interview, Anne said plainly, "Ellen has always been obsessed with money and power, and that's why I broke up with her." She described feeling emotionally suffocated in the relationship, wanting love, connection, and kindness, but being met instead with control and cold ambition. This wasn't just a bad breakup. According to Anne, it was a toxic, isolating experience that left deep psychological scars. She recounted moments of manipulation and said Ellen didn't want her to have friends, didn't want her to be independent, didn't want her to be seen. That level of control, combined with Anne's later attempts to speak out, adds an eerie new dimension to both her death and tWitch's. Were they both warning signs? Casualties of a machine that's far more sinister than it appears on the surface? It's no longer just speculation. It's a growing storm of questions, accusations, and fear. As more people dig into these tragic endings and the strange coincidences that link them, one thing is becoming clearer. Now here's where the story takes an even more disturbing twist. On the other side of this haunting mystery stands DJ tWitch, Stephen Boss, the energetic, charismatic dancer who lit up the Ellen DeGeneres show for years with his infectious smile and undeniable charm. To the public, He was the life of the party. But behind closed doors, something much darker was brewing. Just days before Christmas in 2022, Twitch was found dead in a Los Angeles motel room. The cause? Suicide. No warning signs, no dramatic changes in behavior. According to those closest to him, he had seemed completely normal, calm, collected, even cheerful in the days leading up to his death. That's what makes it so chilling. There was no note, no explanation, just silence. And then people started remembering Anne Heche's warning, the cryptic, bone-chilling message she reportedly gave him not long before her own tragic crash. Now, it feels like a prophecy. Both Heche and Twitch were connected to Ellen DeGeneres. Both are now gone, and their deaths, so close together and wrapped in eerie coincidence, have fueled a tidal wave of speculation. What kind of pressure were they under? What secrets did they know? Was Anne trying to protect Twitch from something she'd already seen? But that's not where it ends. Rumors have surfaced that Anne Heche was working on a tell-all documentary before her death, one that could have pulled back the curtain on some of the industry's most disturbing secrets. Some insiders claim it would have exposed abusive power dynamics, hidden trauma, and the untouchable figures pulling the strings in Hollywood. Was she silenced before it could be completed? What Twitch caught in the fallout? And here's the part that conspiracy theorists say changes everything. Anne Heche isn't the first woman romantically linked to Ellen to die under mysterious circumstances. Back in the 1980s, Ellen reportedly dated a woman named Kat Perkoff. Shortly after their breakup, Perkoff died in a car crash, the same way Anne did. Coincidence? Maybe, but to those paying attention, the pattern is impossible to ignore. 3 women, 3 car crashes, 2 suicides. All are somehow tied to one person. As details continue to trickle in, one thing's for certain, the deaths of Anne Heche and DJ Twitch are no longer just personal tragedies. They're part of a larger, shadowy narrative that's raising serious questions about what really goes on behind Hollywood's polished facade. And if even a fraction of these claims are true, then we're not just looking at a string of unfortunate events, we're staring into the heart of something far more sinister. The question now is, who else knew and who's next? The tragic deaths of Anne Heche and DJ Twitch have done more than shock the world. They've cracked open a Pandora's box of questions that Hollywood would probably rather keep sealed. What began as 2 separate tragedies has now morphed into something far more unsettling, with both cases tracing back to a single common thread, Ellen DeGeneres. As more unsettling details emerge, it's becoming harder to dismiss the eerie patterns. Heche's fatal crash, Twitch's sudden suicide, the cryptic warnings, the resurfaced claims of manipulation and obsession with power. It all paints a picture that's impossible to ignore. What once looked like a coincidence is now starting to feel like something else entirely. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're part of a growing narrative that suggests the glitzy world of daytime TV and celebrity status might be hiding a much darker reality. Fame, after all, often comes at a price, and for some, that price is silence, control, and unimaginable pressure behind the scenes. Anne Heche, once vibrant and outspoken, spoke of isolation and toxicity. DJ Twitch, known for his joy and light, left without a word. And now, the haunting silence left in their wake has become deafening. Their stories, so tragic, so abrupt, serve as a chilling reminder that the spotlight can be blinding. Beneath the laughter, the fame, and the perfectly polished personas, there are truths Hollywood has worked hard to keep hidden. And as the pieces continue to fall into place, one can't help but wonder how many more stories like these are still buried. Because the deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes this wasn't just tragedy, it might be a warning. Anyway, what do you think about this drama? Let me know your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to check out our other stories. Celeb till next time, bye.